welcome back to the Brandon Coin Club podcast and YouTube show. I am Derek Spalding, and
I'm Zach Longenecker.
And I'm Brendan Carnes.
And today we're going to talk about the Carson City Mint and all the awesome history and coins that came out of that mint in Carson City, Nevada. Zach here has some fun facts about the history of Carson City. Zach, why don't you tell us about the how it got started and all that fun stuff.
Well, it all goes back to a sunny day in California, in San Francisco back in 1848. There was a man, I think his name was Bannon, that he was actually a shovel salesman and other gold accessories for sifting through the river.
Okay.
1848 was when the gold rush started. He went around with a bottle of gold dust and around San Francisco and shouting "gold, gold, gold," and that sparked the gold rush. Everyone started flocking over from the east, and within a few years, they had actually exhausted the supply, so people started looking elsewhere. One of the men, who did you say it was that found the Comstock Lode?
Oh, so the Comstock Lode, which was a lode of silver and gold ore found in near Carson City, Nevada. Two guys, actually, the brothers, the Grosh brothers, it's said that they were the ones who discovered that Comstock Lode. Funny story of how it became named the Comstock Lode, though, was so the two Grosh brothers, Ethan Allen and Hosea Balloon, or Ballou, I should say, they were out, found the lode, they had some documentation of their claim, and they had some samples, and they were going to go, make some money, file a claim. Well, one of the brothers, Ethan, he died of a leg injury and sepsis, and so his brother, Hosea died. Ethan was the one who said, okay, well, since my brother's dead, I got to go get a partner. So he went and got another partner, and he's like, we got to raise some money to dig out this mine. And so he and this partner decided to cross the Sierra Nevada, like in the winter of 1857, and to go to San Francisco to raise money from other banks and businesses there. They both perished, got frostbite and died up in the Sierra Nevadas during the winter there. Meanwhile, their friend or business partner, Henry Comstock, he was house sitting their cabin there in Nevada for them while they were going off to get this money. He heard that they both died, knew that there was this trunk full of ore samples and documents showing their claim to this area, and knew it was gold, knew it was silver, and so he got a bunch of people to help him, and he actually claimed that lode, and little did he know that it was one of the largest silver lodes or dumps of silver ore in the U.S. history. So that is how the Comstock Lode became what it is today.
Yep, and the Comstock Lode was basically right in Carson City, Nevada. Prior to that point, it wasn't called Carson City yet. Fun fact, Brennan, you know who the frontierman it was named after?
No, who was it, Zach?
His name was Kit Carson, and the guy that actually founded its name was Abraham Curry, who was an enterprising silver miner, or just businessman in general. And when he found the Comstock Lode, he basically started mining there, and it ended up being the site by him politically lobbying where the Carson City Mint was founded.
Isn't he also, I thought I read somewhere, he's known as the father of Carson City, because he founded the city and put up a mint, put up a lot of buildings there. I think that was what I don't remember reading, but I remember there's someone known as the father of Carson City, but that might be him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, so the funny story, the way that it was founded, they found the Comstock Lode, and there was a whole bunch of money to be made, but people were trying to ship the ingots over to San Francisco, and it was just too expensive, and people kept stealing the silver on the way, and that was part of why that's part of why they wanted to start the Carson City Mint, in addition to having local silver currency to spend in that area.
And so then they founded the mint there to make the coins, and that thus became the Carson City Mint. So today, though, the Carson City Mint is a museum for the state of Nevada, and if you go there and visit, you will actually find a little piece of Carson City Mint history there. They call it press number 1. It was the original press that was used to mint some of the Carson City coins there, and they still use it. They actually print commemorative coins in the gift shop there that have the CC mint mark on it. So.
Yeah, you know what was interesting about the Morgan dollars that came out in 2021 was they made one with a CC, but because the mint is not still open and operating, they actually made it a privy mark,
Yep.
which means it's not a functional and active mint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they actually, I was reading that the original law that was being lobbied for those commemorative coins, they wanted to print them or mint them at Carson City.
That would have been cool.
And because the place is a museum and they really don't have the facilities there right now to do it in mass, they just couldn't get around to it to do that. So maybe there might be, who knows,
That would be cool.
some Morgan dollar from 2021.
And they're bringing them back this year, so
Yeah.
hopefully we can get some struck at the mint.
Yeah.
Well, do you guys know the first year coin struck at Carson City Mint?
I want
18
to
something.
say in the 1870s.
It was exactly 1870. Do you know
Oh.
which coin it was?
I was thinking a gold piece, but I think it is $1.
It is a silver dollar seated Liberty.
Okay.
They did actually make gold that year too, but it wasn't the first.
The
Okay.
first one they minted. Okay. So
Alright.
what kind of coins did they mint at the Carson City besides the most well known, which is the Morgan dollar?
I don't know.
So yeah, so I mean, we definitely had a lot of seated Liberty dimes come in, so we can say that there's definitely the dimes. We know that the 20-cent piece was struck, but that was later on in '75. Let's see, quarters. I believe some quarters were struck in Carson City in the '70s, and obviously the dollars, and I would assume the half dollars as well. I was more familiar with the gold coins from the 1870s coming from Carson City, so that's pretty cool to know that the actual very first coin was the dollar. I did not know
Yeah.
that.
So
And
you
then
guys,
trade dollars too, right?
Yeah, trade dollars
Yeah.
as well. And I did look it up, that 1870 Carson City seated dollar had a very low mintage of around 11,700. So, and I was very shocked to find out that that coin is not that expensive. I think gray sheet bid in XF was around $4,500, which for a coin that has a mintage of 12,000, and it was the first one from the 1870s, I thought that was fairly reasonable.
Yeah. You see other coins that have like a 10,000 to 15,000 mint, and they're far more expensive than that. So.
funny story about, you guys want to hear the story how the mint, why the 1870 was the first coin?
Yeah.
Sure.
So in let me make sure I got my numbers right, but in 1866 the cornerstone was laid for the mint. By 1868 the mint equipment was sent, and it didn't actually end up getting there till around July of that year, because the equipment was sent by ship and the Panama Canal didn't exist yet, so they actually had to go all the way under South America, and they were hoping to mint the first coins either in '68 or '69, but I guess and back in that day they couldn't get enough bricks to finish the chimney, so that ended up delaying it until '69.
So the dies came in, you said 1869, and were they wrong or something, and so they had to redo them, or?
Well, no, they came in like November of 1869, and it
Okay.
was so late that they couldn't strike them.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
Yeah.
and then the Wells Fargo Express brought the 1870 dies, and that ended up being the first ones
Okay.
to be minted.
So I think I remember reading something about that. Like because they had the 1869 die, there is a rumor that there's some coins out there with a 69
Ooh.
on them, but it's like it's rumor. It's like a
Hmm.
hearsay. Like, and there's things like that about the mints that are so cool. Of like, well, they couldn't mint this because they had something, and so then they started the next year, but they had the die that had that number on it, and so there might be something out there like that. I know there's some stories like that.
Yeah,
about mints,
maybe it's possible that there's an overdate, so
Mhm.
maybe a 70 over 69.
Mhm.
That would be really neat.
They did have the 69 dies, so
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's always possible.
No. So, anything else about the mint itself, or do we want to talk about our favorite CC coins that we may have in our collection?
Well,
Well-
so I have a little piece about the mint that
Okay.
I think is awesome. So probably my favorite aspect of Carson City, especially dollars, is the GSA hoard.
Oh yes.
So if you're not familiar with the GSA hoard, basically when they struck these Carson City dollars, they would just fill them up in bags mostly and put those bags in treasury vaults.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of those dollars sat around in the vaults for about 90 years. And I think it was 1971, they went into the vaults and said, hey, we need to disperse these dollars and liquidate. So basically they hired secretaries and college students to get these bags out, sort through them, and choose which ones were uncirculated versus circulated. And for the most part, they were all uncirculated, but back in the day, having people that didn't know much about coins, they thought maybe that if it had a little bit of toning, like this one does, that this wasn't uncirculated because it has color on it. So I don't know if you guys can see that. We'll probably be bringing it into
Yep.
the meeting. But this one has a full obverse toning, and it's got some greenish yellow to gold look with some purple streaks. It's a really cool coin, and when those college and secretaries were putting these coins in the holders, if it had the toning, the holder would not say uncirculated. But now that this is NGC graded, we know it's certainly uncirculated, and not only uncirculated, but an MS64 proof-like with full obverse toning. So initially, the common dates of these GSAs, the 82, 83, 84, I think were sold for $15, $30, and $45. It was kind of a weird system through this mail auction. And some were just sold outright, some were sold through an auction. So some of the rare dates are the 79, which in a GSA holder, if it's just average grade, is around $7,000 to $8,000. I do believe there is one of an 89, a 92, and a 93. One example of each in the GSA.
Okay.
So that's super special, and you know, these GSAs actually come in this box, and then inside of this box we've got a nice blue color, Carson City, and this one actually does say uncirculated because it's not heavily marred or discolored, which would cause these college students and secretaries to think that they were not uncirculated. So these common dates run about $300 if you're interested. And they are accompanied by a card that has a serial number. If it's uncirculated, it'll have the serial number up here, and it starts out with the first two digits, which is 84, and those should match up with the coin. So if you're ever buying those and you want to make sure it has the proper card, just make sure that that it's got the first two digits.
Matches up to the year. Okay, so
Yeah.
that 1884, 84 on the
Yep.
certificate. Maybe the next session that we do with the club, we'll probably try to do maybe like a grading workshop if we can here soon. So if that's everything, then thank you guys for joining, and hope you guys have a great day and enjoy collecting the coins and learning. Hope you enjoyed learning about Carson City, and have a good one.
Cool.
All right.